Picture this, a 106th minute extra time goal, a chaotic post-match brawl, a bright red "Make Spain Great Again" hat, and Donald Trump standing awkwardly on the winner's podium, all in one night. The 2026 World Cup final wasn't just a football game, guys. It was a wild, historic collision of elite sports, television history, and honestly, some pretty intense global geopolitics.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack how Spain's glorious victory rippled way beyond the pitch in New Jersey, echoing all the way to the global political stage. We're diving into why this captivated millions and what it really tells us about how global tensions inevitably bleed right into our entertainment. Here's our roadmap for today. First, the Spanish Renaissance. Second, chaos on the pitch. Third, shattering television records. And finally, politics take the stage.
Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, the Spanish Renaissance, modernizing tiki-taka.
So, head coach Luis de la Fuente orchestrated this absolutely stunning revival of Spain's footballing identity. It was like watching a masterclass. They used a modernized version of tiki-taka, just completely dominating possession. And get this, they conceded only a single goal across 8 World Cup matches, just one. That is an unbelievable defensive record for a winning team. On the flip side, Argentina played super heavily on the defensive. They were so suffocated by Spain's collective intelligence that literally they failed to register even a single shot on target during regulation time. 0.
Spanish media were quick to highlight what this tactical dominance actually meant. The newspaper El País kind of hit the nail on the head. They called it a triumph of team values, joint intelligence, and hard work over individual ego, or as they put it, social media divas. Anchored by these incredibly diverse young talents like Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams, Spain just absolutely proved the power of the collective.
Moving on to Section 2, chaos on the pitch, the final's dark turn.
But look, while Spain showcased absolute discipline in their play, the atmosphere on the pitch took a pretty dark turn. Mid-game, Argentina's Enzo Fernandez gets sent off with a red card, leaving them a man down and severely limiting their options. The tension was just thick in the air, right up until the 106th minute when Ferran Torres finally breaks the deadlock in extra time. But the craziest part? It's what happened after the final whistle blew on Spain's 1-0 victory. A massive, chaotic player brawl broke out. It got so bad that Argentina's Leandro Paredes received a rare, straight red card for violent conduct after the match was already over.
What's really fascinating here is the sheer duality of sportsmanship we witnessed that night. On one hand, you had Spanish media calling Argentina's post-match conduct thuggish. And that unrest actually spilled all the way over to Buenos Aires, where fans clashed with police, and they even had to bring out water cannons. People were demanding FIFA investigate. Yet, right in the middle of all this drama, you also had these striking moments of deep respect. Spain actually provided a guard of honor for Argentina, and we saw Spain's Sergio Ramos offering this incredibly warm, comforting embrace to a crying Lionel Messi. It was such a wild contrast.
All right, Section 3, shattering television records, a nation glued to the screen.
Back across the Atlantic, this chaotic, glorious win became a profound moment of shared emotion. 87.1%. Let that sink in for a second. That was the television audience share across multiple networks broadcasting the final in Spain. It effectively paralyzed the entire country for hours. Just incredible.
This wasn't just a popular sports broadcast. It was a defining cultural moment. We're talking an average of 15.7 million simultaneous viewers. Over 20 million unique viewers tuned in at some point. It totally smashed the viewership of their famous 2010 World Cup victory, making it officially the most watched FIFA match in Spanish TV history. And here's a fun fact for you. It became the second highest rated program ever in Spain. The only thing that beat it, a random game show from 1987. No way, right?
Finally, Section 4, politics take the stage, the geopolitical spectacle.
So beyond the TV records and the amazing sporting triumph, we have to talk about the geopolitical theater surrounding the trophy presentation in New Jersey, because it was impossible to ignore. Donald Trump was in attendance, and he awkwardly stayed up on stage alongside the FIFA president to present the trophy while the Spanish players were celebrating. And let me tell you, this created a heavily layered, super tense scene. Prior to this, Trump had pretty harshly criticized Spain. He literally called them a wasted cause and a terrible partner in NATO because of their defense spending and their refusal to let the U.S. use certain military bases. So yeah, talk about awkward. To really grasp the immense tension on that podium, you kind of have to look at the broader diplomatic friction between the two allies.
Under Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, Spain officially recognized Palestinian statehood in May 2024 and implemented an arms embargo on Israel. The U.S. stance? They warned Spain's actions would embolden terrorists. Then, on the NATO front, Spain outright refused demands to spend 5% of their GDP on defense, which actually led to threats of cutting off trade with Spain. So you have representatives of these two radically conflicting global stances standing shoulder to shoulder on a victory stage.
And this geopolitical tension didn't just stay in New Jersey. It bubbled all the way up during the victory parade back in Madrid. Picture this: match winner Ferran Torres partying with his team, proudly wearing a bright red cap with a very familiar phrase across the front. It said, "Make Spain great again."
The irony here is just off the charts. Torres was totally borrowing the visual language of the American MAGA movement, but using it to celebrate a highly diverse modern Spanish team. Remember, this is a team featuring players like Lamine Yamal, who had literally just waved a Palestinian flag during a recent club celebration. It was this playful, highly symbolic weaponization of an American political slogan, directed right back at the politician they had just awkwardly shared a stage with, a politician whose foreign policy their own government actively opposes.
Which really brings us to the ultimate question, doesn't it? When a single football match manages to paralyze a nation, break historic TV records, spark violent on-pitch brawls, and amplify deep international friction right there on the trophy podium, can major sporting events ever truly be separated from global politics? As the dust settles on the 2026 World Cup, I'll just leave you with that thought. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the worlds around you.